What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in once again. So, we're seeing some more developments around establishing cryptocurrency as a form of payment. This is similar to what I reported on last week with Ted Cruz appealing to the House to have Bitcoin be a form of payment within the Capitol. So now we have another article here from Bitcoin.com. New York considers bill to establish cryptocurrency as a form of payment for state agencies. So this is in line with what we saw Ted Cruz doing and making these cryptocurrencies as a way of payments for people that are in government, which is very interesting. A bill has been introduced in the U.S. state of New York to allow state agencies to accept cryptocurrency payments, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. The legislation proposes allowing crypto to be used as a means of payment of fines, civil penalties, rent, taxes, rates, fees, charges, and more. That is extremely interesting, especially when they are using more than just Bitcoin. They're also going to have Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. We'll go on to read here. The bill to allow state agencies to accept crypto payments. The New York State Assembly member Clyde Vanel introduced a bill Thursday that establishes cryptocurrencies as a form of payment for state agencies. According to the bill's description on the New York State Senate website, the Assembly Bill A2532 has been referred to the New York State Assembly Committee on Government Operations. According to its bill, the summary establishes the state agencies are allowed to accept cryptocurrency payments as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash as payment. The bill seeks to amend New York's state finance law by adding cryptocurrency as a form of payment. The legislation defines cryptocurrency as any form of digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds operating independently of a central bank, including but not limited to the aforementioned cryptocurrencies. And I imagine others will get added to this list, like USDC. I'm not entirely sure about Tether. It kind of has a bit of a dark history, especially in New York. So maybe not Tether, but definitely USDC and some of the other stablecoins, True USD, maybe even Pax will probably be finding its way onto this list here. And again, that's very interesting, especially this is like a state thing. You're seeing this all over the United States as well as in Europe as politicians kind of walk both sides of the aisle here, being both very bullish on CBDCs and bullish for cryptocurrency as payments for things. According to its text, the bill proposes authorizing state agencies to enter into agreements with individuals or entities to accept cryptocurrency as a means of payments of fines, civil penalties, rent, rates, I'm not entirely sure what that means, taxes, fees, charges, revenue, financial obligations, or other amounts including penalties, special assessments, and interest owed to state agencies. That is kind of crazy just to see how that's so quickly developed now, that they are having cryptocurrency as a form of payment across all these different avenues here. This week, Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers introduced a similar bill to allow state agencies to accept cryptocurrency. She also launched a bill to make Bitcoin legal tender in her state. Let's read up more on this. Arizona senator launches bill to make Bitcoin legal tender. A senator in the United States of Arizona has introduced a set of cryptocurrency bills, one of which seeks to make Bitcoin legal tender. Centralized digital money controlled by central banks is slavery. Definitely agree. Decentralized Bitcoin is freedom, the lawmaker says. And I definitely agree with that statement, though again, I do not trust politicians at all. Like, they do walk both sides of the aisle, and this is probably going to very much so appeal to the voter base there, especially for Republicans. And I'm sure that we're going to see more of this. Arizona lawmaker wants to make Bitcoin legal tender. Arizona State Senator Wendy Rogers has introduced several cryptocurrency bills, including one to make Bitcoin legal tender in her state. She's quoted as saying, "Launched my crypto bills today," Rogers tweeted Tuesday. The bills are co-sponsored by her state Senate Republican colleagues, Jeff Weiner and J.D. Mesnard. So they're definitely appealing to the Republican base for this. And I would be cautious when trusting politicians at their word, so to speak. One of the bills proposes making Bitcoin legal tender. Okay, we've said this now. The legislation defines cryptocurrency as the decentralized peer-to-peer digital currency in which a record of the transaction is maintained on the blockchain and new units of currency are generated by the computational solution of mathematical problems that operates independently of a central bank. So this is good to see, because the first part of this can be a blockchain. There's plenty of corporate blockchains out there that are outside of the central bank. However, again, something you should keep an eye on. Just because it's outside of a central bank doesn't mean it's not necessarily controlled by a small group of people. We have seen the more or less centralization of Ethereum through the proof of stake mechanism that has been implemented now, where eventually Ethereum will not be as permissionless as we've seen it. You will need permission to use it. Another bill proposes allowing state agencies to enter into an agreement with cryptocurrency issuer to provide a method of accepted cryptocurrency as a payment method of fines, civil penalties, other penalties, rents, rates, taxes, fees, charges, revenue, financial obligations, and special assessments to pay any amount due to that agency or state. So they are very happy to take cryptocurrency, it looks like. Here are the bills and all of their titles. Virtual currency, property tax exemption, state agencies, payment cryptocurrencies, biometrics identifiers, collection, retention, disclosure. That's going to be an interesting one to dig into. Housing trust fund, transitional housing. It's interesting. Blockchain technology tax-free prohibition. Legal tender, Bitcoin. It's very interesting. Rogers introduced a similar bill to make Bitcoin legal tender in Arizona last year, but it was quickly shot down. This was her tweet from last April. Central digital money controlled by central banks is slavery. Decentralized Bitcoin is freedom, and I definitely agree. In September 2021, El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender alongside the US dollar. Since then, the country, led by the pro-Bitcoin president Nayib Bukele, has purchased thousands of Bitcoin for its treasury. Last November, Bukele announced that El Salvador is buying Bitcoin every day. And he's probably getting a very good deal on it over the past couple of months, as we've seen the price of Bitcoin stay flat. Only in the last month has it really kind of continuously rose out of the gully that it was in. I'm still not sold on the fact that we might be heading into a breakout. I think that we need to see a little bit more strength, and we need to see some dying down of some of the geopolitical issues that we're seeing around the world right now, mainly the proxy war between NATO and Russia, as well as the growing crisis in China, where the Chinese government is not being completely honest about what has been happening with its health crisis. And some people are saying that tens of millions of people could possibly die there over the next 6 months to a year. But that is remains to be seen. You never can really trust what's coming in and out of China because of the type of government there. But this is all very good to see. If Bitcoin was to become legal tender in one state, it could very quickly become legal tender in other states, as Republicans and perhaps even Democrats would look to appeal to their base. I'm sure that plenty of people on both sides of the aisle, Democrat, Republican, and all around in the middle, would like the idea of some type of currency that is not controlled by the central banks. People really do not like the idea of CBDCs, the centralized digital currencies coming from these banks, and they definitely want an opportunity, if they can, to have a way to kind of separate themselves from that and still take part in the digital space. I believe what you're going to see is two parallel ways of kind of dealing with this. You're going to have people that use the CBDC that just want to trust banks, and they're happy to do so, and they're happy to deal with whatever repercussions come with that. And you're going to have also another lane of people that want to use cryptocurrencies. Now, the government is not going to accept, at least from what I can see, the idea of privacy when it comes to using cryptocurrencies. I think that what they want to do is have people disclose their cryptocurrency, perhaps even disclose their public address so that it can be monitored, and then they can pay taxes and also face repercussions for perhaps supporting certain political things that we've seen. I mean, in Canada, we saw just last year during the protests in Ottawa, people that were supporting the protesters with Bitcoin, if that Bitcoin was tied in any way to their bank accounts, they actually had their bank accounts shut down. And we did see even the government try to go after people's Bitcoin on self-custody wallets by trying to get the people that run the apps to somehow freeze their Bitcoin. We all know that that's not possible to do, but just that the government was so blatant in that regard to try to go after people's cryptocurrency still says to me that they're not necessarily ready to allow people to just act as they want to when it comes to self-custody. And so I think that these sort of bills are a way to walk both sides of the aisle for these politicians. But I am definitely happy to see this, and I hope that we see more of this. I think that's where it's going to take its first kind of steps is within the state, and then it will make its way down to regular people throughout the regular world when it comes to everyday buying and selling of goods and services using cryptocurrency. And as well too, I think we'll see kind of a parallel reality where people are also using CBDCs. Some people are just happy to use the bank, use CBDCs. Other people, they want nothing to do with banks. They're very much into just dealing with cash or other types of payments. In this case, it would be using cryptocurrency. So keep your eyes on this. It's going to be an interesting story as it develops. I do expect more states to follow suit and implement other types, if not similar types of bills to establish cryptocurrency as a form of payment. Let me know what you guys think about this. I'm very interested if people are kind of on my side of the argument, if they really don't want to see much government involvement in cryptocurrency at all, if you like this kind of a thing, if you're going to be one of the people that uses the CBDC, or maybe even using both, because there might be benefits to playing both sides of the aisle as a regular private person, same thing as there is as a politician. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys on this story. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like, perhaps share this video with your friends, and then if you want, consider subscribing for future content, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.